10% of all the new cars sold in Iowa come from the Karl Auto Group. Our neighbors trust us to have the largest selection and the highest standards. To our current customers, thank you. And to our future customers, see for yourself why Karl drives Iowa.
Your dealer for life, it's the Karl way.
What is up? Welcome to Cyclone Fanatic pregame here in the Northwest Bank Studios, presented by Karl Chevrolet. I'm Jake Brend, joined by Levi Stevenson, the head of CF After Dark. Levi, thanks for filling in. How we doing, man?
Not too bad, Jake. Thanks for having me. It's gonna be a late night.
It is gonna be. Are you doing After Dark post
game
as well?
We're doing. We're going to run the Triple Crown tonight. We're going pregame, postgame, and postgame.
So I'm out here in Utah. So I'll be at the post-game press conference. I won't be doing post-game. Levi and Aiden will man post-game. Levi will toss to himself with the post-game show. These are the measures we have to take when Williams is throwing a party. We can't trust him. We want Karl Auto Group to continue to sponsor the pre- and post-game shows, and if we throw Williams on one of these shows after this party, it'd be a bad deal. So Levi,
I need to send him the link to the post game so that way he can jump on from the bar.
That's a great idea.
That's a really good idea.
Send it to Pence as well.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a good night of coverage out here in Provo. The vibe's good. It's beautiful city. From the drive from Salt Lake down to Provo was pretty incredible, and it's a very, very nice town, and everyone here is awesome. We'll see what it's like when the game starts. This atmosphere, I've heard nothing but great things, and I can see why. This building is massive. It seats almost, I believe, 20,000 people.
It's like the second largest in college basketball, something like that.
Because
Kentucky's holds like 24 or something like that. But
it's a tough spot for Iowa State. You're getting a desperate team. You're getting a team that has, at minimum, a top 3 pick in the NBA draft, a team that's given Iowa State fits in the past. They're going to have to play their best, and they're going to have to be locked in.
Yeah, it's a tough environment. Like you said, I haven't personally been there, but the last time we went there, it didn't go very well. And then the last time before that would have been like the Melvin Edge and DeAndre Kane year, which they ended up winning that, but you could clearly see it was a huge environment for them. That was back when they were still just like a solid team, but nothing great. It certainly didn't have, while they had a couple really nice players, Brendan Hawes, but they didn't have an AJ DeBonsa.
No.
When has anybody had one of those?
Not a lot of people have had an AJ DeBonsa, and TJ Altsberger said it well, that there's just no way to guard him. There's no one person to guard him.
Yeah.
For me, I think this comes down to, you probably accept that he's going to get his. He's going to get his 25, 30, 35.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how easy does he get it. Because if he gets a really easy 30, I think Iowa State's going to be in trouble. If they make him work for it and can help shut out the role players as well and keep Rob Wright in check, then I do like Iowa State's chances to win. But if he's able to get to his spots, if he's able to get to the free throw line and go 14 of 19 from the field, then this is a day where Iowa State really could get in trouble.
I think the way you attack, the way you want this to play out with AJ DeBonsa is very similar to how it played out with Darren Peterson at Hilton Coliseum, where you hope he'll get his 20, 25, whatever it is, just because he's just that good. But you want it to be on 15 or 20 shots or something like a huge volume of shots. I've called it the old Russell Westbrook efficiency, where it's just a million shots for a million points. And he's going to get what it is. But like you said, if you can lock down Robert Wright and keep him and run him off the 3-point line, especially with Richie Saunders out, this BYU team doesn't pass the ball around. The ball doesn't fly around like it has in past years, just because they have a star and you feed your stars, and that's just what you do. But the ball flying around is what made BYU such a problem in recent years for Iowa State's defense. because that's essentially what the defense is vulnerable to, is that quick passing. So it's interesting to see how that has morphed this year and how that changes the matchup for this go around with BYU.
Yeah, it changes a lot, and part of me wonders. I don't think there's a big enough sample size yet with no Richie Saunders. Part of me wonders if, in a weird way, they're almost a little tougher to guard with no Saunders because they're not playing. To me, from the outside, they looked like they were playing a game of, we know we've got to run this through Debonsa, but we also need to make sure that our star and our emotional leader is getting his possessions and is getting
right.
So I think overall it's a net negative for BYU because you lose his shooting, you lose his rebounding, you lose his leadership. But I do wonder, because they looked pretty good on the road against Arizona the other night, I do wonder how much that comes into play. But this is a team that has lost 5 of their last 7. They're desperate. They have not achieved to the level that they expected to. They expected to be Big 12 title contenders, top 4 seed. They're not right now. And this is kind of their last chance, and they're going to be desperate. What I want to see out of Iowa State, I want them to prove to me, as what we've said, Final Four, national championship contenders, I want them to prove to me that they can show up on the road against a team that's desperate, because they haven't really done that yet this year.
Yeah, is it Tom in our group always says you can't fake desperation, and then to a certain extent that's true. But great teams don't need to fake desperation.
Right.
They always kind of have it built in, because not that they're desperate to save a losing season, but they're desperate to achieve more. So it's time to find this is a great opportunity for Iowa State to decide that it wants to be desperate enough to achieve more than they have in the past, because this is a game that has been a classic letdown spot in the past for Iowa State, where it's like, we've got this momentum. They just got revealed today that they are currently a number 1 seed, and which we kind of thought might have happened after the weekend they just had, but now it's on paper. They are a 1 seed right now. It's not even a projection; that's just what they are. So now you have this spot. It's a tricky road game. We knew it was always going to be a tough road game. You have that a little bit of an unknown factor there with Richie Saunders being out, and like you said, they did play well the other night without him. But we do see this at times where a team loses star and they have to reconfigure, and then the first game after that, they kind of know what they're doing, but the other team doesn't know how they've changed. Then the next game comes on, and that's where it really shows up.
Yeah, there's a dead cat bounce.
I mean, we saw it with football last year. You lost Jeremiah Cooper in practice before that. And then, you lost John Tez late in the game, so that didn't matter. But, you lose Jeremiah Cooper and other people are hurt, and it's fine. They blast Arizona. Then the next week it shows up, and all of a sudden, this matters. Yeah. And that happens with basketball too. So we'll see if it was a dead cat bounce, or if it's like, okay, now that you have these 2 points where it's a split in the road on how you run your offense, who you run it through, now the decision's gone. You always run it through AJ Debonsa, and then just whatever else happens around it. Versus having to make that decision on who you feed. And for, even if you lose a great option, losing the opportunity, reducing the number of times that you can make the wrong decision on who to run your offense through can help, just because you're losing that. You're removing a variable from the equation that you had before.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, and we'll learn early. Like, to me, this game all starts with how you start. This place is going to be on fire. We've seen it before. We saw it 2 years ago when Iowa State just got run out of this building. We saw it at Allen Fieldhouse earlier this year. We've seen it at Hilton Coliseum. Iowa State's got to weather the storm early. And to me, it just feels like Milan's due for a big game. I know he had that little avalanche in the second half of the KU game, but it's been a couple weeks since we've had a start to finish. Like, oh wow, Momcilovic is just going to be unguardable today.
He's acted like a normal human being the last couple of weeks,
and we know he's not.
That's the thing, is like his slump here has been just like what a normal person would do in a basketball game. I totally agree with you though, that this is a great opportunity for him, because BYU's they're a pretty good defensive team, but now that they have Richie Saunders gone, who is a very good defender himself, that changes your rotations and everything. And I wonder if BYU has the defensive chops in the backcourt to be able to to be able to work with all those switches and be able to switch off ball and stuff. We know AJ DeBonsa can switch anywhere he wants, but can Robert Wright switch anywhere he wants?
Yeah.
Can anyone else in this Kennard Davis, can he switch around? And I think if you're Iowa State, you're going to try to prey on that a little bit and try to get them in weird spots, because now they're playing in a different defensive alignment than they're used to playing with. And then on the other end, it's forcing turnovers with a BYU team that's not used to seeing this type of pressure.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. This just, to me, it, as bad of analysis as it sounds, it comes down to Iowa State more often than not. This year, when Iowa State's been bad, it's because they're not the aggressor. They're the ones that are getting punched by the other team, and then they're not forcing turnovers. They're getting beat to the middle of the floor. They're giving up open layups, open threes. And on the other end, if they're not the aggressor, the ball's sticking, ISO ball, turnovers in the paint. To me, this comes down to, hey, guys, you were announced as a 1 seed today. Go and prove it. Go and prove that you are the 1 seed, and go be the aggressor. Take them out of the game. Take the crowd out of the game, and we'll learn a lot. We'll learn a lot about this team one way or another.
Absolutely. I think for Iowa State, it's taking care of the ball. If you reduce your own turnovers, I mean, they only turned it 3 times over against Houston, which is an unbelievable achievement.
Crazy stat.
It's unbelievable, especially considering the past month before that, they had been just throwing the ball to the other team just for fun, just to try to make it harder for themselves. And then you only turn over 3 times against Houston of all teams. So, I mean, that proves though that they can do it. They can choose to be a low turnover offense and a high turnover defense. They have the absolute ability to do that. Now you can argue that maybe Houston runs a similar defense, so they're used to they already know how to pass out of double teams. Whatever. That's a whatever that is. But I think this is it's a BYU team that I think is, like you said, they're desperate, but what that also means is they're kind of clinging on. That it doesn't take a lot. They're just hanging on to the ledge. It doesn't take a lot to push those last couple fingers off and get them to fall off. And that's what Iowa State needs to do today.
Well, it's a massive game. You could make the argument this is Iowa State's biggest game to go the rest of the season. While being a 1 seed, you can probably afford one more loss, and you'd be a fool to bank on next week at Arizona being a win. So if you lose this game tonight, then if you want to hold on to that 1 seed, that Arizona game next week probably becomes a must-win or close. If you don't want that.
Yeah, if you don't pick this one up, you got to beat Arizona to keep your 1 seed.
So this could be, you win this game tonight, the rest of the season turns into a lot of gravy. And that's what's at stake tonight. I'm going to take the Cyclones to win. I don't think it's going to be comfortable whatsoever. I think this is a game that you're going to have to rely on your big 3 down the stretch to make some plays, and I trust them to do this tonight.
This feels like a game it'll either be like a 2-point game either direction, just because of Iowa State's free throw issues the whole season really. But the free throw issues, if it's a close game late, AJ DeBonsa has a 76% free throw shooter and he gets to the line quite a bit. Yeah. Robert Wright's 80%. Kennard Davis is 82%. They can knock down free throws. Iowa State is not knocking down free throws right now. So if it gets close late, you start getting a little nervous maybe, but this also has a potential. I think I'm with you that it's probably in the single digits, probably somewhere in there. But because of the experience of Iowa State, BYU losing Richie Saunders, there is a not too distant tangent here where Iowa State where they kind of keep them at arm's length for a lot of this game, 5 to 10 points somewhere, and then late they start to pull away a little bit. Just because Iowa State
that'd be nice.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to just kind of win this thing kind of comfy going away?
Make the vibes high, back at Reclaimed Rails and Bondurant.
Oh my gosh, we'd have to get CW on the stream at that point.
All right, well, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks to Aiden Wyatt for producing. He'll be in front of the camera for postgame with Levi Stevenson. I'm Jake Brend. Be sure to follow along with all of our coverage at Cyclone Fanatic. We'll be back for postgame and then the post-game show here in the Northwest Bank Studios.